Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk, if you would do the roll call for this evening.
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite,
Melly Garthwaite, at large, present.
Councilman Brian Locks,
Brian Locks, Councilman at Large, present.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan,
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan, 1st District, present.
Councilwoman Michelle Coletti,
Councilwoman Michelle Coletti, District 2, present.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali,
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali, 3rd District, present.
Councilman Gary Donovan,
Councilman Gary Donovan, 4th District, present.
Councilman Edward McMillan,
Councilman Edward McMillan, 5th District, present.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan,
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan, 6th District, present.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker is absent, Councilman Christopher Vargo,
Councilman Christopher Vargo, 8th District, present.
Councilwoman Katie Muller,
Councilwoman Katie Muller, 9th District, present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone,
Councilman Stephen Johnstone, 10th District, present.
and Chairman Nicholas Pascal.
Chairman Nicholas Pascal, present.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
We do have a quorum, thank you. Okay, at this time, we will enter into public session. The time is 7:07. Would anyone like to speak before the city council? Sir in the back, and then... Just name and address for the record, please.
George Hotchkiss. I live at 5 Holcomb Street. I just talk about our issues that we have going on in our neighborhood. Holcomb Street's pretty unique streets. Dead end, ends right at the water. We have a seawall at the end of the street. It's basically the hangout for the neighborhood and whatnot. The parking, we have a lot of invasion of fishermen. I've been there for quite some time, and we have a lot of fishermen that are fishing there, which is something that's gonna happen. We are by the beach. We have a reef on the left side of our street and another one on Baldwin Street on the right side. Prime fishing area. The fishermen are parking at the street right at the end of the street. So there's no access for any of the neighborhood people to get to the beach to enjoy the water or use it themselves without going through a lot of fishermen, and they're parking literally right at the wall. So we're just looking for a solution, something that's good for everybody. We know, we hear from all the fishermen, it's a public street and we understand that. But without any rules, it's getting a little bit crazy down there. And as the neighbors, we all use the beach. It's the only access for Harding Street, Corey Court, Morris Street, Baldwin Street. Everyone accesses the water from our street because it's only 5 feet above sea level. The parking is an issue for any vehicle that's coming down the street, especially the prime truck is pretty regular on our street. They can't turn around. The fishermen are on both sides. The truck has nowhere to turn around besides a residential driveway to try to get out of there. Or they back up. Sometimes the trash men will back up the street. It's just easier for them. And the fishermen have no hours. I loved what's going on in our parking lots at the beach. Sunrise to sunset, a half hour other ways. And the beach is under control now. But the overflow from that, the night the sunset shutdown, all the dead end streets get flooded with people. It's, people want to come down, see the moon or whatever, and they're parking literally at the end of the street where no one else could use it. It's an issue we've been dealing with. We've had confrontations. We've had a lot of people trying to help us. Everybody agrees with what we're saying and what we want done there. But we just want to do the right thing and, eliminate the issue where everybody's happy. So if this body could help us out, we'd appreciate it. Just wanted to be on the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll definitely look into this. Sir? Yes. Name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is Levi Jordan. Address 44 Miami Street, West Haven, Little Florida. I lived in West Haven my whole life. I went to Noble, Savin Rock, Forest, Pagels, Carrigan, Bailey, West Haven High. I'm homegrown, and I played football, basketball, ran track in high school. I then started a family. Got older, started a family. I got 6 children, a beautiful wife. We're over there, and so they got me back into the youth playing sports and everything else. So I do sporting events now. I started a business called The Best of the West, and we've been going since 2021. Officially 2022. I do an annual a basketball tournament over at the Nike site area, and also an annual flag football tournament for the youth at the Veterans Memorial Field. And I do skills and drills, life skills through football and basketball drills at Malloy and anywhere I could get a field or anything. And so I have an event coming up. This is actually the 3rd annual Best of the West basketball tournament, and this time we have been approved from the CT Arts West for actually a better event than I already had. It was same thing but just bigger. So it's called Arts and Basketball. We'll have a stage, we'll have live band, we'll have music, entertainment, we'll have the kids playing from 10U, 12U, 14U, and then neighborhood mayor's trophy games where I get different neighborhoods and they all get basketball teams and they play against each other for trophies. And so around it we have it's at Kerrigan to Tut Hill, and we have food trucks. We'll have a curated marketplace. I have graffiti arts and vendors we have a couple of people from the city. The social worker Elena, she'll be a vendor. So yeah, it'll be on the 28th on Sunday. I just wanted to make you guys aware that this is happening, and that's the time. I think I'm.
What time is it?
The time is it starts. Yeah, I was about to say I only been 2 minutes. So it starts at 12. The live band and everything. The stage will be set, and the performances will have poetry. We'll have spoken word. We'll have saxophone player, live band. So that starts at 12. The basketball games start at 10. The Mayor's Trophy games start at 2:30. Usually I would love for her to come out. Either she'll do the jump ball or she just speak and get acquainted with the public over there. And, we just have a great time. It cleans up by about 6:30. I have a staff, and plus the facility maintenance. I've introduced myself, and they're a great crew over there. And so they're working, partnering with me along with the public works and Chris. Chris is good for the Board of Ed. So they allowed us to I got a permit and everything. So it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna do it every year if possible. So if anybody would love to be a part of it in any way, donation, sponsorship, anything, I have a pretty decent following on Facebook. My name's Levi Jordan on Facebook. Coach Levi Best of the West on Instagram. Most of the kids know and love me. I'm always in the community with them. So I know their parents as well. So I would love to get to know you guys as well, because I haven't stepped on this side of of things. So I would love for you guys also come out, say hi. I'll probably be on the microphone, bringing great energy. But come say hi anyway. All right, I think that's my time. That's all I got. I got to go see my son.
So once again, that was July 28th?
July 28th.
Okay, starting
Yes.
at 10 o'clock?
Yes.
At Kerrigan. Perfect.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have a flyer?
I do.
Oh, great.
I passed most of them out. I had that in the car with me. I got my kids. They passed them out. But that is a flyer. If you want to get it circulating, that'd be great, and you can have that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We'll make sure we share that.
Okay. Thanks again.
All right, absolutely.
All right. Have a great night.
You too. Would anybody else like to speak before the city council, sir? Name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Cormac Byrne. I also reside on Holcomb Street next to the Hotchkisses. I'm at number 7. I've lived there about 7 or 8 years, and I missed what most of George had to say. Sorry, I was late. But I totally reiterate everything he said. We have a street that really has 6 houses that face onto the street. We do not have a dead end sign at the end of the street. And we have some no parking signs for non-West Haven residences that you guys put up or somebody put up a couple of years ago, but they're largely ignored. And then we have, as he said, we have maybe 6 to 8 cars or trucks on any given day that pull all the way to the bottom of the street, all the way to the wall. So you just don't feel that as residents that are fronting on this street that we can use this facility, that we pay the taxes to use. There's people that are there, as George said, from sunset to sundown, and in some cases even longer than that. There's people spend more time on that street than I do, and I live there. So don't want to beat a dead horse. I just really want to agree with everything that George said, and as neighbours, I think we're all on the same page. We just appreciate if there's something that the council could do, whether it's striping or signage or just something more proactive to protect our streets. Yep. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak before the city council? Miss?
Good evening. My name is Angela Davis. I live at 157 Dalton Street. It's in the 5th District. On our street, we have a problem because it's the street right off of the main road, so cars often use it as a cut-through. There needs to be some kind of a stop sign or something to prevent cars from just flying down the street and then they whip around the corner. Last year, my daughter's car was totaled out in a hit and run. Somebody was racing down the street and they hit the car so hard that it pushed it up on my lawn. So it definitely is an issue. I know that at one point we had the thing that counts your speed or tracks the speed. It kind of helped a little bit, but something needs to be done.
Miss, what was the cross street they were coming off of, the main road?
So it's Dalton and Malloy. Okay. And there's cars that they park all along the other side, like up in the woods, and it definitely causes issues as far as the residents because there's apartments on the corner. So I don't know if there's some kind of restriction on parking, but they take over our street.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take a look into it. Would anyone else like to speak before the city council? The second time, would anyone like to speak before the city council?
Frederick Brown, 100 Smith Street. I'd like to endorse the nomination of Kathleen Krolik as a director for the Greater New Haven Transit District Board of Directors. I think under Mayor Bohr, we've seen a lot of exciting things happen with economic development, and Kathleen has been very much a part of that. She's done an excellent job, and I think she will do an excellent job in this position. I wouldn't worry about her address. This is more regional authority rather than a local commission, but I think she would do an excellent job, and I hope tonight you will pass her the mayor's nomination for Kathleen Krolik. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Would anyone like to speak before the city council? For the second time, would anyone like to speak before the city council? For the third and final time, would anyone like to speak before the city council? Seeing none, public session is now closed at 7:19. We will now convene the July 22nd, 2024 regularly scheduled council meeting at also 7:19. I am looking for a motion to approve the Journal of 6/24/24.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? 2 abstentions. Okay. All right, motion carries. And when Madam Clerk is ready, if she could please hand out the communications for this evening.
We have before us Communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for June 2024, which will be filed with tonight's record. Communication B from Chief Joseph Perno regarding animal shelter donations being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Akbar Ali. Communication C from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding a waiver of permit fees for the Special Olympics Fall Festival Bocce Tournament being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Akbar Ali. Communication D from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding an amendment to Chapter 191 of the ordinances of the City of West Haven to adopt and incorporate a new section to be known as Section 191-56A, entitled Sewer Connections, Permit Fees, Construction Requirements, being assigned to the Legislative Matters Committee, Chairman Vargo. Communication E from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding the appointment of Kathleen Krotek, 176 McKinley Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut, as the Director of the Greater New Haven Transit District Board of Directors. Ms. Krotek's term will be effective immediately and expire on April 8th, 2025. Being assigned to the Personnel and Civil Service Committee, Chairwoman Coletti. Communication F from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding the appointment of James Greenberg, 106 Lake Street, West Haven, Connecticut, to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Mr. Greenberg will be replacing Brent Kasha. Mr. Greenberg's appointment will be for a term of 5 years, effective immediately, and will expire on August 31st, 2029.
We're actually going to amend that. That's it should be, what was the date on that?
January 31st, 25.
G.
What?
Oh, which one did you
F.
read?
I just read F. January 31st, 2028. Do we want to make a motion to amend that first? Amend the communication, that's what we should do.
Yeah. There's actually going to be another one. So I will entertain a motion to, on communication F for this evening, change the expiration date of the appointment of Jimmy Greenberg to June 31st, 2028.
January, right? Is it January?
January 31st.
I can't see. January 31st, 2028. You have that motion?
I'd like to make a motion to.
Thank you
I'll
very
second.
much. We have a second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Any discussion on that? Okay, that carries. And before you go and read
Before I
this,
go any further?
before you go and read G, I will entertain a motion to change the expiration date on communication G to
January 31st, 2025.
January 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second over there. Any discussion? All in favor? Yes. Oh, yeah. Let me finish this motion. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And just as a matter of record, we're going to be reading communication G first in order to vacate the position and then fill it with communication F. So tonight, if you're following the agenda, it'll be communication G first and then communication F. I'm sorry, you may continue.
Where was I? Okay, I'm still handing out the communications,
Yeah,
right? Okay. Okay, communication F from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding the appointment of James Greenberg, 106 Lake Street, West Haven, Connecticut, to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Mr. Greenberg will be replacing Brent Kasha. Mr. Greenberg's appointment will be for a term of 5 years, effective immediately, and will expire on January 31st, 2028. And that's being assigned to the Personnel and Civil Service Committee, Chairwoman Coletti. Communication G from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding the appointment of Brett Kasha, 433 Glendivan Drive South, West Haven. To the Planning and Zoning Commission, Mr. Kasha will be replacing Michael Todd Taylor. Mr. Kasha's appointment will be for a term of 5 years, effective. So that doesn't make any sense, these 5 years things.
It won't be the 5 years, they're just finishing
For
out
the remaining
terms.
of the 5?
Yeah, it's for remaining.
So for the remaining, okay.
And the chairman of that committee will read it into the record properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chairman, before you go, that should also be with F as
With
well.
F, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll figure that out.
Chairman Coletti, please make note of that when you're reading it into record to take out the 5 years.
Has it been typed? Right, you got it right? Okay. Okay, for the remaining of the 5 years effective immediately and will expire on January 31st, 2025, being assigned to the Personnel and Civil Service Committee, Chairwoman Coletti. And communication H from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding the appointment of Teddy McKenna, 202 Campbell Avenue, Unit 1, West Haven, to the Senior Commission. Ms. McKenna's appointment will be for a term of 5 years, effective immediately, and will expire on August 31st, 2029, being assigned to the Personnel and Civil Service Committee, Chairwoman Coletti. And that concludes our communications for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much for that and your patience. We will now recess into committee meetings at 7:26. First up, we have, let me get combobulated here. Finance, Chairwoman Akbarali.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is now 7:26, and your Committee on Finance is now in session. Members present are Councilman Vargo, Councilman Locks, Councilman John Stone, and myself, Councilwoman Akbarali, as chair. Our first order of business are our financial updates. Mayor Board, did you have an update for our MARB meeting? MARB meeting update?
Sure. So MARB meeting went well. We passed a lot of non-union contracts. One of them was the Allentown Annex Garage. We also passed the hazard pay. So that $1 million that was allocated for the fire departments, as you recall, and you might have, read the summary. It was originally 10,000, and the MARB came back and said that was a lot. So I met with the union, and I met with the police chiefs and the fire chiefs and the fire commissioners, and we came up with a different proposal, which was breaking down that $1 million into hazard pay, turnout gear, and training for the firefighters. So everybody accepted that. It was voted on by the MARB and the union and fire chiefs and everybody. It worked out well. And Allentown hazard pay. Oh, and the boilers and Lake Street and Cove River non-union contracts were passed by the MARB as well.
Great. And when is our next expected meeting?
They canceled the meeting for July. They made it for August 29th, and the agenda items are due August 15th. So we already sent something out to all the department heads to see what contracts might be.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor Borer.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions regarding that? Chair.
I just wanted to add from their agenda, there was a couple other things that are worth noting, that they approved to some police interceptors that we had on there, correct? And also purchased 2 motorcycles. I believe the ones we had were in pretty bad condition. And I think that covers everything, right? Yeah, that's everything. I just wanted to note that the police did get some things approved for what they need to do. Thank you.
Very good. I just wanted to open up, I'm sorry, I forgot to open up the committee for discussion. Do I have a motion for discussion on the updates from MARB?
We don't need a motion.
No motion.
We don't need a motion.
Does anybody have any questions for Mayor Borer regarding MARB? Councilman Donovan?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Mayor, the MARB, any discussion about the pension whatsoever, the police pension?
There was not any discussion at the meeting. Where it was left off last was that the governor needed to appoint an arbitrator. And then I think that arbitrator, they have to meet within 10 days of that happening. As of that meeting, that hadn't happened yet, but I know that they were looking to do that. So we should hear something soon about the process, not necessarily the results.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman. All set.
You're very welcome. Any other questions for Mayor Borer? All set. Thank you very much. Our next order of business is our West Haven year-to-date financial report. So Mr. Gormany, do you have an update for us for May 2024?
All right. Good evening, Council. I submitted in the packet the update of the city financials year-to-date as of May of 2024. I'll just give a brief summary of what's in the packet. Basically, as of May of 2024, the city is projecting a surplus between $1 million and $2.5 million. When we look at the general operating side of the city, which is our general fund. This is a slight decrease from the last financial report that the council received, which was the March 2024 report. Within the body of the report, I gave an overview of some of the major city revenues and major city expenses. The revenues did come in slightly lower than we forecasted between March and May, which is one of the reasons on why we've seen the decrease of the overall surplus that we were reporting the last time myself and Mr. David Taylor came before the council. So to give a few examples, we did see slightly lower than forecasted tax collections. We did collect through May 99.27% of the budget. Again, when we're looking at the tax budget, it's a little harder to forecast when you're doing that budget. From year to year, the actual percentages that you collect change. So when we do when you do a tax budget, you look at the past collection percentages and try to forecast for that year what you are going to collect. This year we are slightly below budget. That's what we're forecasting as of May. State grants, which are really the next two charts in your packet. Again, we've talked about those before. On the city side, we are ahead on the state grants. Again, this was due to receiving additional funding through the municipal revenue sharing grant from the state. And then our city education grants came in slightly ahead as well. We are maximizing the city's investment on the cash that we have on hand. On the second page, you'll notice that there is a category called investment income. That's where our money lies in short-term investments and different things in different bank accounts. We do have money within the Connecticut STIF account, which is the short-term investment fund, which has seen great returns from the state of Connecticut. So as you see on the revenue side, we are forecasting to be about $1.4 million ahead on that budgeted item as well. On building permits, we are projecting to be ahead of budget as well. Again, when you compare the March report to this, we did have a slightly higher number. This is one of the areas that we did see a decrease in based on the activity that we had between March and basically the month of May, but we're still ahead of budget on that category as well. And then the next few bullet points outline just a couple of the revenue items that we are forecasting to be short of revenue on. But overall, when you look at the revenue budget, we are projecting to be about $1.9 million, exceeding the overall revenue side of the budget. On the expense side, there's really something that we really look at are salaries versus overtime. That does usually drive our expense side when it comes to where we are. So as you can see, as of May, we are forecasting about $4.1 million in salary savings as of May. Now that number will decrease as we do the month of June, but it will not decrease by $4.1 million. But we are saving money on salaries this year, and primarily due to the vacancies. As you know, when Mayor Boer came in, that was one of the priorities, was hiring for these vacancies as well. But based on the beginning of the first half of the fiscal year, we are seeing savings. Now, some of that savings is offset by what you see in the additional overtime cost that the city incurred during the fiscal year. So overall, the general fund is looking decent. Again, this is a forecast. As you know, things can happen. These numbers can go up and down at any point. So that's the report on general fund through May. And then the next two items are the sewer operations in Allentown Fire District. Both funds are projected to be on budget and see surpluses this year, or be on balance. Sewer operations, we're projecting to be balanced for the fiscal year. And the Allentown Fire District, while This report does show that we have revenues exceeding expenditures. We still do have some reconciliation to do within the Allentown Fire District, but we are still expecting a surplus within that fund as well. So with that, Chairwoman, I will entertain any questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Gormany. Does anyone have any questions? Councilman Vargo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Mr. Gormany. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Just a couple of questions. I want to make sure I'm clear. So this is May of 2024. The fiscal year ended June 30, correct?
So yes, the fiscal year ends June 30th, but you know they're still reconciling items after June. I think you know you still have payables that occurred in June that you won't receive until July and August. Revenue that still has to be booked. There's actually a 60-day collection piece that happens after the fiscal year ends for taxes. So yes, it did end June 30th, but we spend the next between July and August reconciling the remainder of the fiscal year that passed.
So on the income side, I was just curious. Do you know what was included in the FY24 budget for sale of property that was not sold?
Honestly, I would have to check, but I can certainly get back to the council on that.
It's just a curiosity.
Yeah, no,
what was in there. And just jumping quickly to the Allentown, I understand that this is still a work in progress because you have some reconciliation, but just based on this forecast, rough math is about 1.4 million. I just that's not 1.4 million. But there's a notation on here that there may be a request for additional funding for the pension. Would that funding come from the surplus, or is the council going to be asked, or possibly be asked, to allocate additional funds for the pension?
So what we're looking at is allocating a portion of the surplus towards the pension. So what would happen is you would see that expenditure number basically go up, which would offset some of the surplus that you see here based on the reconciliation that we're doing as the fiscal year closed.
And that would come possibly in our September meetings, one of our September meetings?
Yeah, we're currently working on reconciling the bank reconciliations, revenues, expenditures, working with departments. So I think as we give the June report, most of the time closer to the September period is when we have a true picture of where the previous fiscal year ended.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Councilman Johnstone?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Hey, Mike, the parking meters and what was forecasted, are we still if I remember, are we still charging $5 an hour for non-residents at the beach?
I will defer to Mayor Boer if possible. To be honest, I don't have that off the top of my head. I'm still learning some of the
That's okay.
permits.
It was a
and fees.
curiosity question.
Mayor Boer?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
We are
Yes.
still charging 5. But we're in discussions about potentially changing it to 10 for out-of-state residents come August 1st. But I think we were going to have a conversation about what that would do to revenue and what that would do for people to come. But the charging of $5 has not stopped people from using our beaches. So I don't know that the $10 would deter either. So it's certainly worth a consideration because we're collecting a lot of revenue.
The only reason I'm asking is because I remember we got one report a while back. I think it was the last council. I can't even remember. It was that long ago. But there was certain parking lots that the numbers were just astronomical. Dawson was one, and Bradley Point was the other. So I just don't know, and I may be speaking out of turn, Mayor. I'm sorry. I just didn't know. Obviously, that was in discussion already. But I didn't know if we wanted to potentially go down the road of certain parking lots because, let's be honest, Dawson is like Miami Vice. You park your car, you walk 10 feet, and you're on the sand. So I would like to see that go up because, like you said, it's, if we're talking revenue and we want to make money, I think that would be in discussion. But that was my only question. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, if the largest revenue driver is at the end of Platte Avenue. That parking lot is where we collect the most fees. But yes, certainly we'll look at the 10. And I said out of state before I meant out of city. Okay. Nick asked me to clarify.
All set, Councilman?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you so much, Mr. Gormley.
All right, thank you.
Next order of business is Communication B from Chief Joseph Perno regarding animal shelter donations. I'd like to open this up for the committee. Do I have a
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman. Any discussion regarding this matter? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Communication C from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding waiver of permit fees for the Special Olympics Fall Festival Bocce Tournament. I'd like to open this up for discussion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Second.
Any discussion? All those approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Mayor Borer, did you want to say anything regarding this?
Sure. So I'm really excited about the Special Olympics bocce coming to the city of West Haven. It's going to be September 14th and September 15th. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. We had the Special Olympics here in 1995, and we were the host to the bocce courts and the sailing, and that's actually how we got our bocce courts, because the World Games donated those to the city of West Haven. So it's been a while since they're back. We actually had a meeting today. They're very excited to come back, and we really want to make it a great event. We're going to have an opening ceremony. We're going to have an award ceremony. So we'll be putting out a call for volunteers. There's about maybe 200 athletes, and then they have assistants. They call them partners with them. And then there'll be family, and I hope the community really comes out and provides the athletes with the support that they deserve. So as we get closer, you'll hear more details. But yeah, it's going to be fun. So certainly we want to look to waive their fee.
Thank you, Mayor Borer. The time is now 7:42, and your Committee on Finance is now closed.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
We're going to move on to legislative matters, which is Chairman Vargo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The time is 7:42, and your Committee on Legislative Matters is now in session. Committee members present is Councilman Locke, Councilwoman Coletti, Councilman Johnstone, and myself acting as chair. Up first on this evening's agenda is Communication D from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding an amendment to Chapter 191 of the ordinances of the City of West Haven to adopt and incorporate a new section to be known as Section 191-56A, entitled Sewer Connections, Permit Fees, Construction Requirements. We are going to need a public hearing. However, we do have some guests here to speak to this, so for discussion purposes, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, would you like to give us an overview of the purpose of this ordinance?
Sure. Yeah, I was just looking to make sure Mike Agello was here. And we also have our guests from the Water Pollution Control, Paul Butler and Mark Magri. And this is similar to our blight fines when we went through and we found out that we really weren't charging the blight fines that we should be charging for violators. We aren't charging any sewer connection fees. We're one of the only cities that aren't charging the fees. It took us a while to get the ordinance together because we wanted to look at what other municipalities were doing. And we wanted to look at commercial versus residential and what the compliance looks like. So we wanted to gather data before we did that. And I'll give you an example. If there's a building that's being built in West Haven, typically you want to charge for the fee so that the capacity, and you want to be able to check what the capacity is, what the infrastructure is, what's coming into our system, and you want to collect that revenue. So this is a great revenue driver for other municipalities, and I know it will be for ours as well. And I know that Mike is here, our Deputy Corporation Counsel, to answer any legal questions, but also Paul and Mark can give you examples of when they go out and what they think, and they've been a great help in helping to draft this ordinance, so I want to thank them for that. But we're looking for more revenue drivers.
Thank you, Mayor. Attorney Jello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
The mayor said a lot of what I was going to say, so.
Oh, you can just go home now. Do you have anything you want to add, or I do have a couple of questions, and I don't know if you're the right person, or I see Mr. Butler's in the audience as well.
Probably Paul and Mark, as far as technical questions and process questions are for them. The mayor mentioned a lot of the important things. Is luckily she realized that we haven't gotten any money for sewer connections. We're literally, I think, the only town in the state of Connecticut that doesn't get any fees or fines for connecting to the municipal sewer system. So this will help obviously generate revenue in that area too, which it costs money. So this helps offset that. This was also a great opportunity to kind of outline in greater detail the process and procedure for connecting to the city sewers, increasing fees. But as far as any questions regarding the technical aspects, I would defer to Paul and Mark with respect to that.
A couple questions I do have is on subparagraph D. It says that if the permit is pulled, but the ownership of the property changes hands during that 60-day window, or if the contractor changes, the permit, I guess, then terminates and the new owner or the new contractor has to apply again. I'm just curious what the rationale is for the termination of the permit and having to get another one.
Well, we were looking at several things. We were looking at a original connection fee, like the mayor said. This is revenue that we're missing that other surrounding towns are doing. If there was an existing building and they capped off their lateral, they would have to pay a reconnection fee to up the service with the sewer plant.
Okay. The section F, all properties served shall have a valid sewer discharge permit designating the appropriate fee and capacity. Is this something that's new for West Haven, or is this something that's already in existence? I guess my point is, existing buildings, existing property owners, do they have to do something now? Does this have any retroactive effect for current owners, or is this going forward?
This is all moving forward.
All moving forward. Yeah. Okay. And then my last question is on section HC. I'm assuming that if there's a payment plan in place, it then becomes the equivalent of a lien on the property?
Correct.
And then we have the same enforcement rights as any other lien that a municipality would have?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I had. Anybody on the committee have any questions? Anyone from the council have any questions? Mr. Donovan.
Thank you, Chairman. What's up, gentlemen? How we doing?
How are you here?
You too, man. So, I know you guys are a lot smarter than I am. So mainly this is for businesses or
residential and commercial.
So new residents, new houses being built and stuff like that. Not, it has nothing to do with existing houses unless it's a
correct
two-family. Unless it's a re-hookup type, right? Okay. That was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions from the council? Councilman Locks?
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Vargo. Does the fee structure align with what other towns are doing?
Yes.
Okay, good.
The mayor asked us to do kind of a study
Perfect.
of the area towns to make
Okay.
sure that we're in compliance.
All right, great.
with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
All set? All set? Anyone else? Councilman McMillan?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just curious, why hadn't we been charging this all these years?
Good question.
I know. It's like, wow, it took Mayor Borer to do this?
I can't answer that.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Chairman.
What she meant to say was, we don't know why, but we're fixing it.
Anybody else? Well, I think this is a good thing, something we probably should have done a long time ago. I know this was a lot of work. I thank you all for your hard work, and looking forward to seeing this go forward. We do need a public hearing. I'm going to ask for the second and the first to roll that back.
I'll withdraw my second.
Thank you.
I'll withdraw my first.
Thank you. And we will have a public hearing, Madam Clerk, is when?
August 26th, 6:55, if that's okay with the chairman?
I'll allow it.
Well, all right. Thank you.
And then we'll do our first read in the reports.
Do I have to read this whole thing?
Unless anybody did a condensed version of
Madam
it.
Mayor, you're going to give me laryngitis for having to read all this.
I can help.
It's a big ordinance.
It's a big ordinance. Thank you. Okay. Next item is Communication B from June 24, 2024 agenda from Councilwoman Garthwaite regarding an amendment to Chapter 170, Section 170-15, Domestic Animals of the Ordinances of the City of West Haven. It is my understanding that Councilwoman Garthwaite will be withdrawing this communication for the fact that the Sandy Point Bird Sanctuary is not a legally defined area per Corporation Council, and therefore some additional administrative work is needed to be done before that we could legislate that area. However, I do understand that the councilwoman does want to speak to this. Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure the best way to do that.
Go ahead,
Madam Clerk.
So if you're going to discuss something, you need to bring it out favorably first, and then the second, and then discuss, and then take back the first and the second.
Okay. So with that understanding, for
I
purposes
believe.
of
I'm sure that's.
for purposes of discussion, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve.
Motion.
I'll make.
Second.
Thank you. Councilwoman Garthwaite.
Thank you, Councilman Fargo. I wanted to say to the council, I was not aware that we do not have meets and bounds for the Sandy Point Bird Sanctuary legally within our land records. I even asked a couple of people that are lifelong residents of West Haven, and they did not know. I was shocked because it's all over in literature. It's on Google Maps. So I'd like to see us get that done, Mayor. If we could get that done, I don't know if we need to have a motion to get a survey, or if that's just something that you could do for us.
Another simple answer. The legal team is here. I'm not sure if the Audubon or of federally or state organization that is familiar has to provide the designation, or I'm not sure. A sanctuary is defined not by us, but by the environmental organization, and then they provide us the boundaries, and then we adopt those. Am I correct?
Well, they will, for example, the Audubon Society will designate an area or a site, they call it. It's not by meets and bounds. They might have overlay maps, and they might show different places where certain birds or species are habitating and whatnot. But I think for the purposes of an ordinance passed by this municipality, we would have to meet and bound it. In other words, we'd have to have a very defined, our definition, the area that we say our ordinance applies to. That would require a survey, meets and bounds, and then it would require some kind of identification. And so it wouldn't be vague. In other words, when you're traveling down the street and you see a sign that says school zone, fines doubled, you're on notice that you're in a school zone and fines are doubled. Same thing in this instance. We'd have to strictly define it and identify it in order to pass an ordinance that treats this property differently than the property next to it.
Thank you. Certainly I want to say that officially designated a sanctuary or not officially designated a sanctuary, it's certainly one of the jewels of our shoreline, and we want to protect our natural habitat. So we will work to figure this out. I think we all were under the impression that it was, and we learned it wasn't, so we got to figure it out. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, my concern with doing this is just understanding that ordinances need to be clear to the public that it affects, and without properly designated area, I'm concerned that an individual that may be on one part of the beach may not realize that stepping 15 feet to the left or the right would put them in a different part of the beach, which exposes them to a higher fine. And my concern is that the residents and whoever else is there is not going to understand that. So I think the best course of action is for the councilwoman to withdraw her communication, and then whatever work needs to be done administratively to designate it a legal area. Once that's done, we can revisit whatever changes we want to make. Any discussion from the committee? Any discussion from the council? Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to kind of add what I said last meeting, I think this is not just a good opportunity for Sandy Point, but it's also an opportunity for us as a governing body to tackle on, the mayor's administration has been awesome with the tackling the blight, and now we have to tackle, the little things that add up to paint the big picture. So yes, we've had, obviously, unfortunately, we've seen some interesting comments and kickbacks online and social media, and that I'm just gonna leave that one alone. But we've also had people do it the respectful way. So I encourage those at home, it still works. If you see something, say something. Just try to do it nice and respectfully. Unfortunately, this is the question I've been asked, and I've talked to Chief Perno, I've talked to the police officers, I've talked to other council members. The question is, how do we enforce something like this? And right now, we are still down manpower at the police department. And when the beach gets crazy and the parks are filled, it kind of gets difficult. I went on another ride along because I try to go on as many as I can for the police department, and I do a different beat every time. And for those council members who have been on a ride along, and for those sitting at home who who don't have that luxury, here's what happens. When calls come in, it pops up on the screen, and the sergeant running the command center, the post, has to make a judgment call most of the time of where to send their officers. And unfortunately, and this is not to say one issue is more important than the other, but a phone call in, a dog not being on a leash compared to a domestic violence dispute, I hate to say it, but the domestic violence dispute takes top priority. Same goes for a possible stolen vehicle, suspicious character, walking Campbell, whatever the case may be. And then you add that in with, we're short-staffed. If an officer shows up, you got lucky, an officer shows up. But that's the situation we're in. And going back to wrap this up, this is an opportunity for us to really set a good tone and a game plan for next year. I know the timing isn't the perfect timing because the summer's already half over, which is hard to believe, but I think we are on the right track to start the discussions. But as I said last time, and I'll end with this, let's do it right the first time, plan and execute it, be done with it, set the tone, and walk away. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Johnstone. Anybody else from the council have any comments? Councilwoman Coletti?
Thank you, Chairman. I think this actually presents a very good opportunity for Sandy Point Bird Sanctuary to actually become a sanctuary if possible. I just did a little minimal amount of research, and even if it's not the Connecticut subset of National Audubon, there's a Connecticut Audubon Society that does have some parameters to do so. So I think once we're able to do that, not only will it satisfy Councilwoman Garthwaite's intent, but will also likely unlock some additional funding for educating the public. There are a lot of other coastal cities that have plover programs and bird protection programs, and those are administered typically by the Audubon or by the nonprofit themselves. Another threat to the habitat there is, I think, the plover, the fishing crows, and Audubon did state that there's also a balance of human interaction, recreation, as well as cleanups. So I think if we can take it to the next step responsibly, I think that would be a good thing for Sandy Point.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilman Locks?
Just a comment. Thank you for that. And obviously you have the expertise. Between Melly and you have the expertise. So I would imagine we're all looking forward to seeing how this thing goes. But to your point, Steve, I mean, I think it's really important that, we set expectations when it comes to the plan. And I don't know Chief Perno's day-to-day operations, but I just think, like, if you have a short-term task force and you start dinging people for walking their dogs on the beach and you hit people in the wallet, over time, they're going to catch on. And I just think if those expectations get set, you enforce it for, hey, maybe you do it for 30 days. Maybe you pick one day out of 30 days. I just think that over the long haul, people are going to catch on. The word's going to get around. And I think, you cannot not try. You have to try. And, I don't know how we get those parties together to kind of make it happen, but, I just think there's potential to make these changes. It's just, change is hard and it's painful, but I think it's doable.
Thank you. I agree. I think this is a great opportunity that we could take a broader, more global look at enforcement of our beaches and parks, create a plan that makes sense, and as Councilman Johnson said, do it right the first time. We have trash issues, we have dog issues. There's a lot of moving pieces that we really need to take some time to see what the public has an appetite for, see what what makes sense. I know Facebook's not the best indicator, but there's a lot of polarizing opinions. It's really the best that we have, unfortunately, for polling sometimes. But don't equate those two. But we do have people that want dogs on the beach. We want people that don't think that that's appropriate. So there's a lot more work that needs to be done before we move forward with something like this. So I think we should just take our time and do it right. Any other discussion? Councilwoman Coletti?
All right, and I would absolutely welcome some sort of forum for a wide range of community feedback on this issue. I'm not sure how we would accomplish that as a council, but I think when you take on the responsibility of creating laws and fines that people have to live by, I think there is a great responsibility to that. So I would like to hear more direct public feedback from the community.
I think it's a great idea and something that we should try to move forward with, together. Councilwoman Garthwaite?
I would like to know, would that be for Sandy Point Bird Sanctuary in terms of no dogs on the beach, or is that in general?
Well, I think there's two parts to your proposal. I think your proposal requests a fine be added to the no dogs on the beach, which would affect the entire beach. And then the additional ramping up of the fine just within that specific area. So any way that we can accomplish that and get widespread direct community feedback, I would be in favor of.
Okay, so there's just there's already a $100 fine, so for dogs on the beach, right? So we've established that, correct?
No, I don't believe that there's a fine anywhere for the beach. There's the ordinance says that they're not allowed on the beach, but I do not believe there's a fine attached to that. Mayor, do you know?
There's an ordinance that talks about the dogs, but I don't think there's a monetary component to that.
I think that's right. I think it mirrors the ordinance, the separate ordinance that dogs are not allowed at public parks and recreation areas when there's a permitted event going on. There's a similar ordinance to that, but I don't believe that there's a fine associated with any of it.
So I got this information from West Haven Animal Shelter. I have it in a message that I shared with, I think, all of the council members by now.
So let me double check that, because there might be a disconnect if animal control thinks there's a fine, but we don't have a fine on the books, right? So.
Right, we could double check that.
Yeah.
Okay. All set, Councilwoman?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Heffernan and then Councilwoman Coletti.
During, I was going to say, the discussion that we had earlier with Michelle about the $25,000 fine federally. I mean, I think if people were aware of that, and that was, that's enforced. That's talk about hitting in the pocketbook. I think if that sign was up somewhere that there's a $25,000 fine for disturbing, maliciously harming piping plovers. I hope I'm getting the name right. Piping plovers? Piping plovers, okay. They're an endangered species. This is their nesting grounds. I think if people knew that, I don't think they would want to bring their dogs there. I think that, they would have, a modicum of respect for that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't think people know that that's something that's there and that they are that endangered. If the federal government's enforcing a $25,000 fine, I think that's they must be in a serious condition. I think people that love their dogs tend to love animals in general. I think that they would be respectful. Thank you, Councilman.
Councilwoman Coletti?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think the $100 fine is for off-leash dogs, but there's no fines. There's no fine specifically for dogs on the beach, and the plover nesting areas are all roped off by the stakes and string, I think, and those all move around depending on where the plovers decide to nest, right, from season to season. So that's why it's also hard to place a boundary per se. A lot of different programs use a lot of different tactics for protection, as well as recreation, people being able to utilize the area recreationally and cohabitating with these specific conditions. So I think that's a good indicator of where they are, where they're nesting. I met with Mark Payne on Friday, and he mentioned they were nesting even closer, further away toward more speech. So sometimes you can never exactly tell where they are, but everyone should be aware, and that's why I think if we have more funding for signage, multilingual signage, I think it would be a greater help, not only in terms of domestic animals, but also shellfishing is an issue, illegal shellfishing, and those sorts of things that would educate people about what the signage and the roping off and the federal fines are. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask if Corporation Counsel could, I think you're anticipating my question.
You want to know if there's a fine?
Yes, sir, I do.
There's a $100 fine for dogs at large. Dogs at large basically being defined as a dog not on a leash or a dog roaming freely. And that's pretty much throughout the city. And that is codified in Section 89.
Which I believe that section covers the public parks and
public parks, public streets,
and public play areas like ball fields and
correct
places like that.
Correct, Councilman.
Thank you.
Yep.
Now that's only if they're unleashed, correct?
Correct.
So,
considered at large.
So my understanding of Section 89 is that dogs are allowed in those areas if they are leashed. However, they are not allowed in those areas if there is a permitted event.
Could be. I haven't done the deep dive.
Okay. I only know that from my life as a soccer coach.
Okay. but yes.
But I do not think that the fine extends to that kind of a violation. So that's something we could look into.
You could certainly you can designate an area for whatever reason, and that's a reasonable reason to pass an ordinance to protect something. I can't imagine protecting endangered species is not a reasonable reason to have an additional fine in place. So it's certainly doable.
So just to clarify, at this point, there's a $100 fine for dogs at large, i.e. not leashed, pretty much throughout the entire city, including the beach. However, there is no independent fine for allowing a dog on the beach itself, leashed or unleashed.
That I'm not sure of. Again, I didn't do the deep dive, but we found the fine for unleashed dogs.
Okay. That
would definitely apply on the beach. There could be an ordinance of dogs on the beach, leashed or unleashed.
I personally haven't seen it. I looked at, I think it's 179.
Yeah.
I think.
I haven't seen
Or 170.
I haven't seen a fine.
Yeah, I have not either. 170? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I did not see it there. Okay. Thank you, Attorney Dorsey. Councilwoman Coletti?
Just one final clarification. If we're looking at the language of this, I think we should also look at other municipalities have under command, which could mean that your dog is trained to respond to verbal controls as well as physical leash controls. So if we want to make that distinction, we should probably be aware of that as well.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilman Donovan?
I agree with Councilwoman Coletti about hearing from the public. I know I'm going to be the bad guy here, but I don't know of a public outcry over this. I didn't think this was a major issue with the public, so if it is, I'm wrong in that. But yes, I agree with the ordinance that is there. With the $100 fine attached to it, seems reasonable. I'd probably be okay with that, but I would definitely like to hear from the public on that, because like I said, I I didn't think this was, I thought it was just the opposite at this point, where people were upset that we were discussing about the dogs on the beach and stuff. I think we had more negative. I think somebody put up, oh, there's dogs on the beach. I think there was more negative input on that than there was supporting that issue. So just wanted to make that statement. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm tending to agree that something that is just affects everybody is globally is something like this, and it's so important to a lot of folks that I think that we as a council should possibly work with the mayor's office to see if we can schedule maybe some kind of a public forum at some point in the future, just to see what the public opinion is on just beach use in general, and we can extend it to a host of different issues that we all know exist on the beach, and see if we could put some kind of an omnibus ordinance package together to strengthen and better the use of our beaches. Anything else from anybody else? Councilman Locks?
I know I'm beating a dead horse, but there's no public outcry because nobody knows about it. That's what I think. That's my own personal opinion. I think I had no idea it was there until I got enlightened by people on this council. And to Mayor Boer's point, if the vision for the future of this city and the waterfront to, it already is a jewel and you want to optimize that jewel, and this is an asset for your town, then you want to really optimize it. So I didn't know about it, and now I'm totally up to speed on it. I had no idea what was going on there. I've been here 28 years. I think it's a spectacular thing, and I think it would be a draw for the city. I mean, have it in Milford, and I personally am not a bird watcher, but I could see where this would be an asset for the city, and you just want to optimize it. And you want to educate people, because I'm sure there's 55,000 people in the town. I'm sure a quarter of them don't even know about it. So there's that whole educational piece that probably should happen.
Thank you.
And I'll stop talking.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask the second and the first to rescind. Whoever those were.
That was Locks was the second. Johnstone was the first.
Councilman Locks, will you rescind your second, please?
I rescind my second. Thank you.
I rescind my first.
Thank you. And just for the record, Councilwoman Garthwaite, you are withdrawing your communication?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And that concludes the business of legislative matters. The time is 8:13. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Moving on to Personnel and Civil Service, Chairman Coletti.
Thank you, Chairman Pascal. The time is now 8:13, and your Committee on Personnel and Civil Services is now in session. Present are council persons Locks, Vargo, Donovan, Johnstone, and myself acting as chair. We have before us a communication E from Mayor Dirindabor regarding the appointment of, I believe it's Kathleen Krolak, actually. I think it's an L, not a T. So I don't know if we need to amend that. We probably do need to amend that in the communication and the resolution. It's throughout.
Krolak?
Krolak. Of 176 McKinney Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut, 06510. As Director of the Greater New Haven Transit District Board of Directors, Ms. Krolak's term will be effective immediately and expire on April 8th, 2025. I would like to bring this out for discussion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I would also, I spoke with Mayor Borer about this, as I was curious why we would be approving the appointment of a regional transit district board of directors. And I think she was also as surprised that it's a requirement of the regional authority to obtain the local city legislative approval for this appointment. Do we have any discussion amongst the committee?
I'm just curious because I'm just not aware of what this board is. Would you be able to just explain generally what it is?
Yeah, so the Greater New Haven Transit Board discusses issues that are going to impact transit for the greater region, and we have a voting. Yeah, it's very simple. We have a voting board member, anything from programs with, and this is why actually I recommended Kathleen because she's our project manager. So if there's going to be a new program with bus shelters, right? It filters through them, or the bus service, or it's not just bus. It's anything related to transit. There's a regional board, and then we haven't had a board member in a very long time. So not only do we want a voting member, but we want to hear about what grants are available, kind of up front, and just have a seat at the table.
And she's our current project manager, correct?
She's our current project manager, and for example, right now we have we do have a bus shelter program that the state of Connecticut is doing, where we're going to have the opportunity to replace a lot of our bus shelters. So because she's our project manager, she's a perfect fit for that role. She also is working on, with the police department. I'm going off on a little tangent, but we're on traffic, and you asked. There's a lot SIP program, which if we pay for the planning for a program for traffic signals, they'll pay for the implementation. The implementation for traffic signals is millions and millions of dollars. So we're going to put hundreds of thousands of dollars up out front. But you learn about these programs through this greater New Haven Regional Board. So that's just two examples of projects she's already involved in, so she's a good fit.
I think this makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Thank you.
All set? Thank you, Councilman Vargo. Any other discussion within the committee? Any other thoughts or discussion amongst the council? With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Congratulations, Kathleen. Moving on to communication G. Let's see. We have before us communication G from Mayor Drindabora regarding the appointment of Brent Kasha of 433 Glendevin Drive, South, West Haven, Connecticut 06516 to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Kasha will be replacing Michael Todd Taylor. Mr. Kasha's appointment will be for a remainder term, effective immediately, and will expire January 31st, 2025. Like to motion for discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion amongst the committee? Okay, I'd just like to say originally I believe this was on for a term of 5 years, but we did a little additional research, and it will be, because it's a replacement, it will be for a remainder term, and then it will come up again for renewal. Any discussion outside of committee? Councilwoman Garthwaite.
I'd just like to say that I was a little sad that I saw that Mayor Bora was replacing Attorney Michael Todd Taylor, but I was excited to learn that it's for a very good reason, so I'm okay with that.
And he actually left. He was sitting here before, but I think he's going to be a great addition to Corporation Counsel's office, and he was a member of P&Z, so he was going to be the person appointed to P&Z to show up on behalf of Corporation Counsel, plus all of his great experience. I know this is about Brent, but the reason why we're making the transition, and then Brent, of course, has extensive experience, having served on the board of, ZBA, Board of Ethics, being a volunteer in our community for many, many years. So it's kind of all fallen into place.
Oh, sorry. Any other discussion? Okay.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion passes. Next up, we have communication F from Mayor Drindabora regarding the appointment of James Greenberg of 106 Lake Street, West Haven, Connecticut 06516 to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Mr. Greenberg will be replacing the newly appointed Brent Kasha.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yeah, I just want to say that James Greenberg has been an alternate member for a number of years, so he has certainly served his time and learned a lot. In addition, he has a lot of knowledge and experience, so I know that he's going to bring all of that to the table when he's making the best decisions for the city of West Haven, and I appreciate his willingness to serve.
Great, thank you very much for that. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next up, we have congratulations. Next up, we have communication H from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding the appointment of Teddy McKenna of 202 Campbell Avenue, Unit 1, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516 to the Senior Commission. Ms. McKenna's appointment will be for a term of 5 years, effective immediately, and will expire August 31st, 2029. Motion for discussion? Motion for approval, sorry.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Still on the draw. Any discussion amongst the committee?
Yes. Is this a new appointment? Brand new appointment?
Yeah, so as I mentioned with the other two appointments to the senior commission, that this has been a defunct commission for decades, and we really need to get it going. And it's been a tough commission to fill, to tell you the truth. You know, when people come to see me and they want to serve on a board and commission, there hasn't been a real lot of excitement around this board until recently when we announced Malloy School, and that will be, you know, kind of revamping what we're doing with the senior citizen population and giving a little bit more opportunity. I did receive a few calls. We connected Leonora, who was appointed and approved by all of you, and Deb Johnson, who was also appointed. They were at the announcement and they were brainstorming. They were talking about people, and certainly Teddy has been somebody who's been a great partner in helping our elderly population, bereavement groups, and just has been really very helpful. And I think she's compassionate, but also pretty smart. So I think she's going to be a great addition to the senior commission.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you, Councilman Donovan. Any other discussion? Councilwoman Callahan.
Thank you, Councilwoman Coletti. I'd just like to second what Mayor Bohr said. Knowing Teddy for a lot of years, she's going to be a great addition for this, and I think it's something exciting to look forward to, and especially for our seniors in our community that could use this extra support as well in our new center. So I just want to say congratulations to her. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Callahan. Any other points for discussion amongst the council? With that, motion to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And just as a general point, there were no objections or no comments received from the public or otherwise on these appointments. Everyone seemed to be in favor of them. So, with that, that concludes the business of the Personnel and Civil Services Committee, and the time is now 8:24.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman.
Thank you.
We will now reconvene back to the whole council at 8:24. We are moving on to unfinished business. On unfinished business, we have an update regarding the Kerrigan Boiler Project and Lake Street Project. I believe we heard tonight that MARB did approve both of those projects. Was there anything else to add, Mayor Bohr?
No, we needed that step in order to move forward.
Okay. And I believe the council is batting around actually asking one of the department heads to come and give us perhaps a quarterly, maybe even a monthly update on the projects, and I think that's something we should further discuss going forward. What do you think? Okay. Okay.
Can I comment on that? That's why it's on there. That's the expectation. Somebody come monthly, quarterly, just tell us what the story is. My question is, when it comes to the Kerrigan Boiler Project, and I think this is really what anybody really cares about. Is it going to be done and dusted by 10:15? That's all anybody cares about.
That's what they tell me, and that's what I hope.
Okay.
I'm
You know
not.
what- You know what hope gets you.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not HVAC or an electrician. I have to rely on the people that we put in place. This is what they're telling me.
Yeah.
Certainly, if they don't, we'll be asking questions. Why?
Yeah. Well, Ken Carney had committed to 10:15, and I think that's what was.
Well, we need heat in the building.
Yeah.
We need the heat.
Yeah, so we just want to make. I mean, the goal is to
we
make
have
sure.
heat.
Yeah.
We
I
have
know.
heat, but we just want to
Absolutely.
make sure it's not heat that's going to fail. And I think the right department head to come. All roads lead to Abdul. He's the engineer. So the project manager is starting to get her arms around these projects, but they're entrenched, and a lot of it is very technical. So a lot of that is Abdul. We actually had a really good interview with an assistant engineer, so I think that will be helpful in that department as well.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the boiler project, like I said, I wouldn't drag a person here or a resource here. But we just want to know if October 15th is achievable. That's all. I mean, we don't want to take up anybody else's time.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Lake Street project, I mean, can you elaborate on the status of that? So Marb signed off on documentation, but what does that mean for actual execution of the project?
They signed off on the engineering consulting project, so that had to go out to bid.
Sure.
And we had SLR, we had CDM Smith, and the Marb had approved the contract, obviously. And so now they're gonna start the engineering work and the design work. This is a good 2-year project.
Okay.
And it's gonna happen in phases. So first the phase, I thought you would do Colonial Boulevard out to the ocean, but you actually work your way back. So they're gonna start at the ocean, right where the outfall pipes are, and then work their way back eventually. So
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just a matter of somebody coming to the next meeting or whoever. Your designate whoever, or if it's you, just say, hey, the design piece is completed, that RFP process is completed. We've signed a contract with X, and the shovel's going to go in the ground, whenever. I mean, that's
yeah,
I
like
would
a
imagine-
timeline.
Yeah,
A timeline.
yeah, that doesn't have to be crazy. I mean, it's kind of like demolition, mobilization, sort of the maybe 4 buckets. And the other reason I keep bringing it up is because people are asking me, and I can't give them an answer. It stinks. It's a bad position to be in. So
Yeah,
that's why it's on there.
It's hard. The bidding process takes, forever,
Painful.
first of all, and then you don't get the qualified bidders that you want. And then Marb only meets every 2 months. And then you have to, get deep permits. Deep permits is probably one of the most lengthiest components of a project, and that's unpredictable.
Yeah.
So I try to manage expectations and not promise too much. I mean, sometimes these permits are 6 months out.
Yeah. And listen, I would not want you to. Listen, nobody wants a hard date. People just want estimates because these things always shift and change. That's all. That's all people are looking for.
Yes, I get it. Thanks.
Sorry.
No.
Everybody's starting to yawn.
All right. Is there any other discussion on that, Councilwoman Heffernan?
Deep project? Why they're going to give you a hard time on their own project?
They, yeah.
I mean, am I wrong? I'm not wrong. It's their project, right?
But they have to give permits on how the work's going to be done.
Okay.
Right? So they say, yes, this is an important project. Yes, we're going to give you the funding for this project. But now the engineers, right, and the details of the project, you need deep permits. What's it going to do to your infrastructure? Is there any protected grass? You can't move sand around in Connecticut. There's a lot of
Piping plovers.
there's thankfully we're not doing this at Sandy Point. I know. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, but the permitting process is very cumbersome.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this topic? Okay, we'll move on. Thank you. Moving on to committee reports, will the clerk please read Communication A, overpayment of refunds, into the record?
Communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for June 2024, which will be filed with tonight's record.
Thank you kindly. So first up on reporting back out, we have Councilwoman Akbarali in Finance.
Thank you, Chairman. Communication B, to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of the animal shelter donations, reports that the committee met on the 22nd day of July, 2024, to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved. The West Haven Police Department has received the following donations totaling $895. The animal shelter per Connecticut Statute 7-148C, 3A and B, and General Order 98-04. We are forwarding these donations for approval. The City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the animal shelter donations to be deposited into the animal shelter donations account number 101-00000-28285. Mary Klinsky, $100. Florence and John Palermo, $25. Angela Russo, $100. Grace Billings, $50. Hala and Michael Urban, $20. Angela Russo, $100. Surrey's Incorporated, $300. Frederick Brown, $200, totaling $895, and I so move.
Thank you very much. I have a motion to approve a matter regarding animal shelter donations. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Communication C, to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven. Your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of the waiving of permit fees for the Special Olympics Fall Festival Bocce Tournament, reports that the committee met on the 22nd day of July, 2024, to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved. The City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the request from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding waiver of permit fees for their Special Olympics Fall Festival Bocce Tournament, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve a waiver of permit fees for the Special Olympics Fall Festival Bocce Tournament.
Second.
Second.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All set, Councilwoman?
All set, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to legislative matters, Councilman Vargo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication D, new ordinance, section 191-56A, sewer connections, permit fees, and construction requirements. I'm going to ask Madam Clerk that we schedule a public hearing for August 26th at 6:55 p.m. And now I will read this entire thing into the record.
If you need help, let me know.
Thank you. Section 191-56A, sewer connections, permit fees, construction requirements. Paragraph A, no unauthorized person or persons shall uncover, make any connections with, or opening into, use, alter, repair, or disturb any public sewer or appurtenance thereof. B, any person proposing a new discharge into the public sewer system or a change in the volume or character of pollutants that are being discharged into the public sewer shall notify the Director of Water Pollution at least 45 days prior to the proposed change or connection. C, any person proposing to extend the public sewer shall, in addition to the provisions of this section 191-56A, file the plan or design of the same with the Commissioner in accordance with section 22A-416 of the Connecticut General Statutes. No such extension shall be constructed until the plan for the same has been approved by the Commissioner and the WPCC. All sewers privately constructed or repaired shall be installed and or repaired by a qualified contractor who possesses a valid plumbing license, grade P-7, or better, issued under Chapter 393 of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended. D, a person intending to connect a building drain from his property to the public sewer shall first obtain a permit to discharge from the Director of Water Pollution. This application shall be made on forms provided by the Director of Water Pollution, and it shall be accompanied by a sketch or plan showing the proposed installation in sufficient detail to enable the Director of Water Pollution to determine that the proposed installation meets the requirements of this regulation or applicable specifications, codes, and laws. The application shall be signed by the owner of the premises to be served or his authorized agent and by, and by the qualified contractor, parentheses, see subsection P, close parentheses, who has been chosen to perform the work. Upon approval of the application and plan and payment of the applicable fees, as set forth in subsection H below, a permit shall be issued to have the work performed by the stated contractor. In the event that the premises changes ownership before the work is completed, or if another contractor is chosen to perform or finish the work, the original permit becomes void and a new permit must be obtained by the new parties in interest. Permits shall be valid for a period not to exceed 60 days and are non-renewable. The fee for the permit shall be $70. E. A connection to the public sewer will be made only after the building's plumbing has been approved by the city building inspector in order to ensure that minimum standards are met for the installation. All plumbing shall be in good working order. No trench containing a building drain or connection to the sanitary sewer shall be backfilled until the water pollution director or his designated representative has completed an inspection and approved the work. The water level in the trench shall be maintained at a level below the sewer connection before the cap is removed and while the connection is being made, and until such time as it has been inspected, approved, and backfilled. The contractor shall notify the engineering department 48 hours before starting any work authorized under this permit. F. All properties served by the City of West Haven Public Sewer System shall have on file with the Water Pollution Control Commission a valid sewer discharge permit designating the appropriate fee and capacity allocation for said property. G. Permits to connect the public sewer may be denied or annulled by the Director of Water Pollution for such cause at such time as he may deem sufficient. No permit to connect the public sewer shall be issued unless capacity exists to accommodate the additional discharge. The City of West Haven shall be held harmless as a consequence of said denial or revocation or cause thereof. All other parties in interest shall be deemed to have waived the right to claim damages from the City of West Haven, its agents, servants, or employees on account of such revocation or denial. H. Costs, expenses, capacity reserve fee. 1. All costs and expenses incidental to the installation and connection of the building sewer shall be borne by the owners. A fee for connection to the building sewer shall be charged to the owners for connecting to the public sewer, payable to the City of West Haven, WPC, in accordance with the following schedule. A. Residential, each dwelling unit, $3,500. B. Commercial, industrial, and retail building. Flows will be determined using actual flow data, Department of Energy and Environmental Protection data, Department of Public Health data for the particular use or sum of square footage for each building discharging the public sewer, multiplied by industry standard constant, parentheses, for further details, please see WPC rules and regulations, close parentheses. Total flow so derived will be divided by 65,000 to determine the number of equivalent units and multiplied by $3,500. In no case will the fee be less than $3,500. C. When the capacity reserve fee charged the owner is greater than $15,000, the owner may apply to the Water Pollution Control Authority to pay said fee in installments. The WPCA shall have the authority to approve an installment payment schedule and may provide for interest payments thereon in accordance with Section 7-253 of the Connecticut General Statutes. Where an installment payment plan is agreed upon, the WPCA shall cause the city clerk to record on the land records a certificate of such fact in a form substantially in compliance with the form provided in Section 7-253 of the Connecticut General Statutes. No installment plan shall be approved for amounts less than $15,000. D. All fees shall be due and payable prior to the connection to the public sewer or change of use unless there shall be in place an approved installment plan. E. All properties served by the public sewer system that undergo modifications and or changes of use shall apply for a new sewer discharge permit and may pay the appropriate capacity reserve fee. 2. All fees collected under this section shall be deposited in a separate sewer fund account to be used solely for the construction and rehabilitation of public sewer facilities. I. A separate and independent building drain shall be provided for each premises which requires a certificate of occupancy. Building sewers extending through lands or others shall not be permitted. The City of West Haven's responsibility as to the operation, maintenance, and repair of any portion of the sanitary sewer system shall end at the point where the building sewers connect to the public sewers. J. Existing building sewers may be used in connection with new buildings only when they have been tested and passed such testing in accordance with the procedures outlined in the City of West Haven WPCC rules and regulations and are found by the Director of Water Pollution to meet all requirements of this chapter. K. The size, slope, alignment, materials of construction of the building, sewer, and the methods to be used in excavating, placing of the piping, jointing, testing, backfilling, and connection of the building sewer to the public sewer shall all conform to the requirements of the Building and Plumbing Code or other applicable laws, rules, and regulations of the City of West Haven, WPCC, or any local, state, or federal government entity having jurisdiction. In the absence of code provisions or an amplification thereof, the material and procedures set forth in appropriate specifications of the American Society for Testing and Materials and WPCF Manual of Practice number 9 shall apply. L. Whenever possible, the building sewer shall be brought to the building at an elevation below the basement floor. In all buildings in which any floor elevations is too low to permit gravity flow to the public sewer, sanitary sewage shall be lifted by an appropriate means and discharged to the building sewer. Duplex lift systems shall be provided for commercial and industrial buildings. M. No persons shall make or allow connection of roof downspouts, foundation drains, areaway drains, or other sources of surface runoff or groundwater to a building sewer or building drain, which in turn is connected directly or indirectly to a public sewer. N. All excavations for building sewer installation shall be adequately guarded with barricades and lights so as to protect the public from hazard. Streets, sidewalks, parkways, and other public property disturbed in the course of the work shall be restored in a manner satisfactory to the City of West Haven. O. No building shall be constructed within 25 feet of a water supply well. If a building sewer is constructed within 25 to 75 feet of a water supply well, it shall be constructed in accordance with all applicable guidelines promulgated by the Commissioner. P. All building sewers shall be installed by a qualified contractor who possesses a valid license issued under Chapter 393 of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended. Q. Prior to entering into an agreement with any municipality or sewer district for use of the City of West Haven sewer system, the City Council and WPCA shall consider whether the agreement should require that 1. Non-jurisdictional users shall pay a proportionate share of operation and maintenance expenditures for the WPCC. 2. Non-jurisdictional users shall pay pay a proportionate share of prior and future capital investments for facilities to be used by non-West Haven users. 3. Non-jurisdictional users shall pay a proportionate share for use of prior and future land or asset contributions by the City of West Haven or WPCC. 4. The contracting municipality or sewer district shall maintain environmental pollution liability insurance that names the City of West Haven and WPCC as an additional insured and is sufficient to cover the cost of cleanup and any other liability or damages arising out of the sewage spill related to that municipalities or sewer districts or their respective users' use of the City of West Haven sewer system. 5. An interim review every 5 years of the terms of the agreement to assess whether changes in practices can be conducted by professional staff for each municipality or sewer district to improve the contractual relationship and to assess the need for midterm amendments to the agreement. And 6, such other factors as the City Council and WPCC deem appropriate.
Can you repeat that?
Oh, my microphone was off. And, Mr. Chairman, Communication B from June 24, 24, agenda has been withdrawn by Councilwoman Garthwaite, and that concludes the business of legislative matters.
Thank you very much. Moving on for the report out is Personnel and Civil Service, Chairwoman Coletti.
Thank you, Chairman Gal. We have Communication E to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Personnel and Civil Service, to whom was referred the matter of the appointment of Kathleen Krolak of 176 McKinney Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut, 06510, as Director to the Greater New Haven Transit District Board of Directors. Reports that this committee met on the 22nd day of July 2024 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the appointment of Kathleen Krolak of 176 McKinney Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut, 06510, as Director to the Greater New Haven Transit District Board of Directors. Ms. Krolak's appointment will be effective immediately and expire on April 8th, 2025, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve a matter regarding the appointment of Kathleen Krolak to the Greater New Haven Transit District Board of Directors. Do
Second.
I have a second? Cool. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Congratulations. Moving on to Communication G, to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Personnel and Civil Service, to whom is referred the matter of the appointment of Mr. Brent Kasha of 433 Glen Devon Drive South, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516, to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Reports that the committee met on the 22nd day of July 2024 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the appointment of Brent Kasha, 433 Glen Devon Drive South, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516, to the Planning and Zoning Commission. He will be replacing Mr. Michael Todd Taylor. Mr. Kasha's appointment will be for a remainder term effective immediately and will expire January 31st, 2028. And I so move.
Thank you.
2025.
Second. Oh, 2025.
2020. January
Oh.
20,
The other was
January
2020.
31st, 2025.
This is yes. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve a matter regarding the appointment of Brent Kasha to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Moving on to congratulations. Moving on to Communication F, to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Personnel and Civil Service, to whom is referred the matter of the appointment of James Greenberg, 106 Lake Street, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516, to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Reports that the committee met on the 22nd day of July 2024 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the appointment of James Greenberg, 106 Lake Street, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516, to the Zoning Board of Appeals. He will be replacing Mr. Brent Kasha. Mr. Greenberg's appointment will be for a remainder term effective immediately and will expire January 31st, 2028. And I so move.
2025.
The other one was 25.
Aren't they both 25?
No, one's 28, one's 25.
Oh.
Hold on, wait.
You sure? I had both of them as 2025.
It's both of them.
Communication F
Both
is
of them are
28,
2025, right?
and Communication G is 25.
Are you sure? It's not.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman. I think we said that both were 2025 to mirror each other, and then it was just Ms. McKenna's appointment that was a new appointment.
Yeah.
I think that's what we said at the outset.
No.
The info that you received was from Corp Counsel, is that true, or?
It was from both Mayor Boren and spoken with Corp Counsel as well.
Okay, so you can be the tiebreaker here. Which is your recollection?
So, are we talking about Jimmy Greenberg going to Brent Kasha's spot?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Brent Kasha expired in 2028 because his last appointment was expired in 2023, and then he had another 5-year terms, which ended in 2028, and we're in 2024, so his extension is to 2028.
Right.
So when we amended the motion, we amended it to 2025, though. So
I amended 2 different years. One was 25 and one was 28.
I don't think we did. We didn't.
That's what I've written down on my paper.
I have
You-
25.
Is that what you have? You would have only known that if I said it on the outset.
Okay, so I'm gonna just add the 2028 into the report out for the whole council,
Okay.
and hopefully that takes precedent.
Okay.
Anybody have an issue with that? Okay, here we go. I have a motion to approve a matter regarding the appointment of James Greenberg to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Mr. Greenberg's appointment will be for a term of 5 years, effective immediately, and will expire on
January 31st.
January
2028.
31st, 2028. Do I have a second?
Second.
So we're still putting in the language, it's the remainder of the term, because we did that two times.
Both are
right?
remainder.
Right.
Right.
Both remain.
Okay. So it's not, we're taking out the 5 years, because I had taken that out of the
Correct.
amended motion,
Mhm.
amended
Correct.
communication.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Who was my second? Mr. Vargo. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, that brings us to our last communication H to the Honorable City Council, City of West Haven. Your Committee on Personnel and Civil Service, to whom is referred the matter of the appointment of Teddy McKenna of 202 Campbell Avenue, Unit 1, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516 to the Senior Commission, reports that the committee met on the 22nd day of July 2024 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. So resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the appointment of Teddy McKenna of 202 Campbell Avenue, Unit 1, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516 to the Senior Commission. Ms. McKenna's appointment will be for a term of 5 years, effective immediately, and will expire on August 31st, 2029. And I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve a matter regarding the appointment of Teddy McKenna to the Senior Commission. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Heffernan. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All set, Councilwoman?
Yes, thank you, Chairman.
All right. Next up, we have action on ordinances previously presented. We have none. Any council liaison reports this evening? Sure.
I want to, first of all, thank Councilman Johnstone for helping on June 29th with the animal pet food donation drive. I also want to thank Councilwoman Mueller and Councilwoman Callahan and Councilman Vargo for coming and donating. That was I really appreciated that. We got 5 truckloads, which is amazing because we only had 6 days to do it. And Councilman Johnstone had brought it to my attention that they were in dire need. I did speak with them, and they would like us to do this more regularly, so this will be something I'll be doing. So I hope the rest of the council will join me in maybe having, this doesn't have, it's not about me or my location or Steve's location. It could be about all of our districts so that each one of us could, gather some stuff from our residents in their own district. I also want to say a very special thank you to Nancy Todd, who helped all day long, and Paul Mulligan, who drove and dropped off 1 truckload because we ran out of cars to put them in, and Michelle Caprio, who donated her time to come and help us as well and donated her car. The last thing I wanted to say is that we are overloaded in our shelter, and if the council could please share the shelter pets on their social media to try to help bring light to the animals that are there. We really need to find them homes. And it is very difficult right now because, there's a lot of speculation, but one of the biggest things is the cost of veterinary care. So it's a big thing to tackle, and it's not our job to do that, but I just hope that you guys will help me in sharing them so that we can try to find them homes. One last thing. The ACOs, I never see them smile. I honestly never see the ACO smile, but when we showed up with the truckloads of stuff, they smiled, all of them, and I never see them smile because their job is hard, and I feel like they're underpaid. So, and the last thing is they would really, really like to have some bounty paper towels, the good paper towels, because when they're cleaning up stuff, the cheaper paper towels fall apart. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other liaison reports? Councilwoman Coletti?
First, I'd like to say thank you to Councilman Garthwaite for putting on that donation day, and I would love to support if you did a citywide adoption day or drive. I think that would be great. For economic development, the ARPA deadline for the $10,000 small business grants was extended to July 31st. The committee has already begun the review process for the submitted applications, and they are continuing to come in fast and furiously. Mayor Borer, did you have any additional comments on that?
First of all, thank you for your participation in the process. And just as a reminder, we had the business forum. We invited a lot. It was a fantastic event. We communicate everything that's available. These are grants, no strings attached, free money. So if you need to upgrade your windows, your doors, your facade, your HVAC, your patio area, it's all about helping businesses to upgrade in a more healthy environment because it's related to ARPA funds. So we wanted to keep with that theme. But I would really encourage any businesses in West Haven to take a second look at this program. It's an opportunity for a free upgrade.
And just to add, the information required is if you just Google West Haven ARPA grants, it'll come right up. It's very comprehensive on a page on the city's website. Very simple, easy to do. You can probably get it done in a day. You may need a little bit of time because you do need 2 estimates. So the quicker, that's the longest lead time item of the whole package, and it's a relatively simple package. Oh, and if you have any questions, we did get some questions about what if you don't have a physical brick and mortar location. You're encouraged to contact Steve Fontana, who's the Director of Economic Development at City Hall, and he's already redirected some of those business to some regional grant opportunities that are available. And then just to kind of move on quickly to planning and zoning, tomorrow night's planning and zoning meeting starts at 6 p.m. And one application of note will be CDM Holdings presenting their application for 183 103 Beach Street, the remainder of the former Chick site. So if anyone wants to come by for that presentation, that should be a good one. 6 p.m. Harriet North. And yeah, bring your cameras. I'm sure there'll be renderings. That's it for me. Thank you, Chairman.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other liaison reports? Councilwoman Heffernan?
Yes, the library is still diligently looking for a place in Allentown. They're still working. They haven't given up on finding a building. They prefer to be less money to put out rather than go with new construction, so they are still looking. They do have the property that they can build on, but they are still trying to find a building in Allentown for their spot. So they're still looking.
Thank you for that update. Any other liaison reports? Councilwoman?
Yeah, I'm sure that everybody remembers, but maybe not. It's our Savin Rock Festival. Yay. Favorite time of year. So this weekend. Yeah. So just a reminder to everybody. And we have our own Nick Fradiani performing, so it'll be fun. So just a little reminder of something fun. Thank you.
Thank you. He's my second favorite Nick. Any other liaison reports?
I almost forgot. I know some council members have been asking me. I double checked with all the sergeants and lieutenants. Yes, we are in the middle of party and celebration season. The noise ordinance is 10 p.m. I've had a lot of residents ask, well, Steve, I don't want to be the person that keeps calling. I don't want to have that label. You have to call in order for it to be documented. So all council members, if anybody asks you, you are encouraged by the police department. They need to call it in because the more calls that come in, it's documented. As I stated before, there are other things that are going on. It depends if there's a patrol officer in that area of the complaint, but they will show up. I tell people, listen, sometimes people forget about the time. If there's still a lot of noise, whether it's large bass, large crowds, parking over the street is also overlooked. We had a lot of incidents off of Contact Drive, 4th of July weekend. Parking is an issue. Why? Because if there is a medical emergency and the emergency services cannot get in, it becomes a real liability situation that we want to avoid. So encourage all your residents. I encourage those listening at home, direct from the police department. You have to call it in. Just be patient. Somebody will show up eventually. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you for that update.
Can I ask a question?
Councilwoman Heffernan, absolutely.
Is there any difference between weeknights and weekends? I know, is that a dumb question? I mean, no, 10 o'clock even on the weekend? And what about noise from roosters? Is that? It's a crazy, I was walking my dog today, my grand dog, and I heard a rooster. And I was like, I thought I was crazy, so I asked someone else. I said, do you hear a rooster? And they heard, there's a rooster that lives in my neighborhood. They're not allowed, right?
Councilwoman, to my knowledge, they are not allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other liaison reports? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Does anybody have any new business this evening? Councilman Mackey. No, not him. Not him. He talks enough.
So I just wanted to mention that Damon Hall, along with myself, we formed a new committee in the city of West Haven on Terrace Avenue. We're going to have a community garden in the 5th District. So with that,
nice.
The mayor has been extraordinary working with us to make sure this gets off the ground. And I would like to for you all to participate. And I will keep you in the loop. Details moving forward. Thank you all.
Thank you. Councilman Vargo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, I just wanted to let you know that Lori from the Blight Office and Hillary from Public Health were tremendous the last 2 weeks. There's been one issue in my district only, but also an issue that transcended between my district and Councilwoman Muller's district, and they were incredibly responsive, tackled it right away, kept both of us informed so we could let the residents that have been communicating with us informed. So I just wanted to let you know that they did a great job for us in the last 2 weeks.
Thank you. Any other new business? Before you go ahead, I know some time has passed, but let's just, thank everybody from the city that was involved with the July 3rd fireworks. From the committee, the mayor's office, the police department, the fire department, everybody did such a fantastic job. It was well organized. I heard less issues than I normally do, so I'm just, very proud of the city as a group for putting on what they did and making it spectacular. Councilwoman Coletti?
Thank you, Chairman. A couple points did come up, I believe, in public session tonight. All along the beach, we were talking to Sergeant Young about some of the signage reconciliation that currently says only if you have a beach sticker. So since we no longer have beach stickers, they may be having some trouble providing tickets for people that are parked along the residential streets along the beach. So for anyone listening, they are working on a resolution to that right now. So I'm sure you'll hear more, whether it's signage replacement or how they're going to reconcile that along residential streets along the beach. That was one point. And then another point, I wanted to thank Vertical Church. They came out for their day of service, as well as Sandy Point Neighborhood Association, Kathy Hebert, a bunch of volunteers came out to Seven Rock Community School. When I went there for the prep rally, we noticed that one of the signs in one of the garden at the entrance of the school could use some improvement. So we got together with the neighborhood association, sort of a collaborative effort, and the Native Plant Initiative, as well as Vertical Church. They brought trucks in, and we were all able to clear all the existing conditions within a day's work. So it's all set and ready to go, and then phase 2 of the project is going to be the neighborhood association working with the teachers. I want to thank Principal Lucabella, who's no longer there, but he was behind the project from the beginning. So everyone was working together to get a pollinator native plant teaching garden for the kids to be exposed to on a daily basis. So it kind of becomes sort of part of their thought process. So I wanted to thank everyone involved, Bobby L. Tree Service for donating the mulch, and then there was a paper company that donated the cardboard that needed to go down before the mulch went down. And there was a family there whose father went to Savin Rock. The son currently goes to Savin Rock, and he may have been the hardest worker there, was Georgie, the kid. So it was a great day of everyone kind of coming together and working together for the school. And there was a lot of thanks, a lot of accolades, but all the credit is due. I give Kathy Hubert a lot of credit for really being the driving force in executing that project on the ground. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Fantastic. Any other new business? Madam Mayor.
I have a few because we haven't met in a while. Couple of things, just follow up on some of the things you have already said, which is great because I don't have to say as much. On the beach parking on the side streets, we are working on the signage, but I just want to remind the residents that residents can get 2 guest beach parking play cards for visitors to put in their dashboard when they have people coming to visit them. Not everybody knows that. They can go to the 2nd floor to see Marissa Franco. We did this with Woodruff, this morning. And if you're having a party on that street, you can go and get several passes. You check them out if it's a party. But this way, if somebody has an out of city license plate and they're parked on the street and they have that means that they're a guest or they're visiting. So just want to remind people that there's an opportunity if they have guests and they're not registered in West Haven. Just quickly, a couple of things. I just want to let you know that the deal closed for the former Stone Academy for the spa, $2.6 million. So we certainly welcome that sale to West Haven. And now there's interest in 600 Sawmill Road, which is the other building adjacent in the same lot. So that $2.6 million for that spa is going to be a touchless spa. It's an experience. And we'll hear more about that exciting experience in the near future. Also, a couple of bids that came in last week that I wanted to share with you. The out-of-state license plate that I've talked about, to have the company come and research and follow up on license plates that are out of state and investigate them and charge folks for their back taxes. So that's coming. Just remind everybody, that's coming. Unless you have a home in another state and you can prove that. But we had an influx of a lot of out-of-state residents. Again, we welcome you, but when you're using our educational services and our fire services and our police services and our parks, etc., you are required to pay your fair share. Number 2 bid that came in is GPS. We're going back to a GPS system for the city vehicles. We got 8 bidders on that, so we're going to be reviewing those bidders in the very near future. And GPS is a great management tool to help us when we see, there's an electronic version. When we get calls, we know there's a truck here, we could send it there, who's closest. It's not just for public works, it's for all of our departments, right, that are out in the field. So that will be coming. Parcel bid, I can't read my own handwriting. Parcel bid, I don't know what that means. Animal shelter, finally, we got our designs approved by the building department, so we're going out to bid on all the different components of that. So the heating and air conditioning, I don't know if you saw when you were there that they put in the new shed. We ordered the new shed so we could knock down the old shed so that we could put the extension on. So that's going to be going out to bid actually this week for the animal shelter. And by the way, the animal shelter can buy towel paper. So I'll be calling tomorrow saying, you got an account to buy towel paper. The other thing, I want to thank everybody who came to the Moy School press conference. It was really exciting. We're really looking forward to that. Dawn mentioned the festival. Yes, it's Saturday and Sunday. We have a lot of great bands. We have Nick Fradiani. He's leading it. The Navals are not playing. They were opening up for him. They cannot play because their singer is unable to play. But we have a lot of other bands. We have the Journey Experience, and we have Cover Girl. We have a lot of food trucks. We have the Rotary's doing a pancake breakfast in the morning. We have characters walking around for children. We have the amusement ride. So there's going to be a lot going on. You could go to the website to find out all the details. But we actually, right before I came here, we had a very large organizational meeting, which the committee has been working hard to make sure it's a smooth operation. A lot of the same committee that worked on the fireworks. So I'm glad you said that it went really well. We heard nothing but great feedback on 3rd of July. So we want to make sure the festivals, because we're going to have a lot of traffic and we're going to have a lot of people. We're going to have thousands of people that come in on Saturday night. So it's going to be big, working on that. I'm sure some of you saw the commercial that we released for the city. So that was pretty cool. It got about 40,000 hits. That is the first of a few videos that are coming because we engaged through the marketing funds that you had all approved. We wanted to make sure we're marketing West Haven. So there's a summer version coming out in a couple of weeks. And then there will be a veterans one coming out as we get closer to Veterans Day. And then there'll be a fall and winter. I also want to thank everybody for coming to the Police Awards. That was a really great ceremony, very well deserved. I think they did a beautiful job running that. So thank you to everybody who came. Hires, we continue to make good hires. Some in the finance department that were vacant, their staffing is complete. One of those hires is the internal auditor that we said that we needed. So that is done. Our internal auditor starts on the 29th. Let's see, hang on, be patient. My school towel paper commercial. I think I got it all. All right, that's it. Good question. There's going to be parking at the high school. Well, there's parking at the festival, but clearly it's going to be difficult. So there'll be parking at the high school, and we have a shuttle that's going to continually rotate and drop people off. Yeah. Yeah. Did you
want to give a quick update on the USDA buyout?
Yes. So we finally got approved to start demolition. We went out to bid for the houses that we were buying out in the 2nd district. That this is how many years in the making? It's about 8. It's since when we were declared a disaster area, and the federal organization that purchased these homes so we could create watersheds, but they have been sitting there dilapidated and really an eyesore, but also not a great compliment to the neighborhood. So finally we're going to be able to knock these buildings down. There is going to be people in hazmat suits walking around, so we want to make sure we give notification to the residents so that they're not alarmed when they see that. But finally it's gonna come down. And just a reminder on some of these buildings that we take down through the federal government, we're restricted to be able to do anything to the plots. So that has been a challenge for us. So 23 homes were purchased down around 2nd Avenue and 3rd Avenue. And but then we're not allowed to mow the lawn because there's federal restrictions. So we have worked through that challenge over the years. We're grateful for their funding to buy the homes. But you want to add anything? It's your neighborhood.
No, I think everyone will appreciate that update. I think it was very slow going, but the city took the initiative to take over the responsibility from the federal government, and in doing so was able to get it done and get it out to bid, and it just went out to bid. So I want to thank you, Mayor, and thank your office for that.
All set. Councilman Donovan?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, the Saturn Rock Festival is Friday and Saturday, correct?
Oh, yeah, I said Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that.
Details.
Yeah. Well, we just don't want people showing up Sunday going.
I know. I'm sorry. It used to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Oh, I know.
Sunday.
Right.
But yeah, it's Friday, Saturday. And I just realized what my handwriting said about the bid. It wasn't parcel bid, it was payroll bid. We put the payroll out to bid, but we only got one bidder. So we're going back out to bid, but we need to look at a new management system for our payroll.
Councilman Locks?
The demolition is where that you're talking about, 2nd District. Where is that?
Do you have the exact addresses?
I was just
There's a
curious,
few,
like,
yeah.
What is it? What address?
It's 37 3rd Avenue in the 2nd
37
District.
3rd.
It's also Marshall Street, 30
I'm not sure.
That's all right.
Not off the top of my head.
And just the other question I have is the web-based work order system. Is that something that's on the table, off the table? Is there any additional thought on that?
Web-based work order system.
So we were at the town meeting, and it came up, and I sent everybody a bunch of information on a software as a service system that you pay annually, so that you have a work order system to track all your work orders, your scheduled payment, all that stuff.
Are you talking about Public Works?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, so Humphrey Mitchell is a
Yeah,
software
right.
system.
Yep.
But they had to install it in the building department first, because we were already on schedule to upgrade and put the building department online. So first the permitting process
Yep.
is going online, which is underway. Once that is completed, then the Public Works complete system will go online. So yes, it is on the table. Yes, it's underway, but it's phase 2 after the building department.
Okay.
Because it's the same software company.
So at the end of the day, once they do their implementation, the Public Works Department will have a cradle to grave work order system to track where they are.
Yes, and it's sorely needed. It's not just needed for the public; it's needed for us internally.
Sure. Yeah,
Right now, we put everything in a SharePoint because that's the only way
Yep.
I could see
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yep.
I'll get a call from
Yep.
somebody. I send it over to Public Works. I don't want to have to keep calling Public Works saying, "Did you call that lady back?
Yep.
Did you call that gentleman back?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you call? What's going on with this address?" So, I have a spreadsheet
Yeah.
in a shared point.
Yeah.
I send it to them. They update the shared point. I see what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of
Yeah,
working,
right.
but
it's homegrown.
it's homegrown and
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we need
Well, that's good news, because let's face it. At the end of the day, it is honestly for you. It's a management tool, so you can measure performance and just kind of keep everybody honest, especially residents who are complaining. But you show data in your system that, hey, let's face it, that got done and dusted and completed, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So you can get out of that constant babysitting of things that happened a decade ago. Well, that's good news.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and-
because
and
when
then
I suggested that, and I think you were bringing them in, so it sounds like you're moving forward. Yeah. Well, that's
we
good
went
news.
into bid with the building
right,
department,
right.
and you're right. It's not just holding people accountable; it's streamlining our service
Yeah, yeah.
because we'll and I know I sent a communication out about at-larges in district. This way, I know. Sometimes a resident will call 5 different council people and 4 different departments, and everybody's working on the issue.
Yeah.
And then I'll call the department and say, I called that resident, and then I'll call the council person. They say, well, so it's just,
Yeah.
you look at the system
Yeah.
and you say,
Yeah.
it's being worked on or it's not being worked on.
Yeah.
And you could, take it from there.
And that's great news. That's something I would definitely advertise.
Yeah.
All set, Councilman Locks?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilwoman Heffernan.
Just on Public Works and things that are going on, there was a street, Richmond Avenue in my district, that's being paved, and everyone is very happy, but that's how I found out about the rooster. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Vargo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Mayor, I was just wondering if there's any update on Style School.
2 bids came in on Friday, but we haven't looked at them yet.
If bidding is closed for right now.
Bidding is closed.
Thank you.
Yep. We had 9, then down to 4, then down to 2. So we need to do a deep dive on those. We need to know that they make sense for the city and for our financial bottom line.
Councilwoman Callahan?
Our favorite subject. I want to say thank you. I'm super excited about the Public Works thing. I'm really super excited. That's great news. So thank you for that. Any updates on the Havens at all? Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's right. That's why we're here. No, we just need a little time for this one. So there was 2 complications when I took office with the Haven. One of them was so there's something called the Transfer Act, right? So that if I transfer property to you, even though you now own it, I am still responsible for addressing the environment. So there was two pieces of property within the Haven, 105 Water Street and 15 Elm Street. And you're supposed to do an assessment at 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years on these properties. The city did 1 year, 3 year, never did 5 years. That was due August 2022. So about a month after taking office, EPA came knocking at my door and said, "You're out of compliance." So we had to hire environmental assessment group, Atlas, and have them come in and do an environmental assessment. That's a lot, but it's it's just about completed. We have several meetings with them to talk about the upgrade, because the environmental, don't forget, was based on a mall. So you were capping a lot of the brownfield. So a lot of it was acceptable the way you would cap that, but if you put something different than a mall, and obviously something other than a mall is going there, it's a different environmental concern. So we had to work through that. Then we had the other issue with, it's a long story, but we had gotten a grant, a $5 million grant from the state of Connecticut when I was a state rep for the work that was going to be done adjacent to the Haven. So this is off of Kimberly Avenue into Elm. It was going to be the infrastructure, the traffic, the lighting, the landscaping, conducive to what was going to be built. And when I was a state rep, the city came to me and they said they were going to use about $1.5 million of that to knock the buildings down. And I was like, why are you going to give the Simon Group $1.5 million of public money? They have enough money to take those buildings down. And I talked to the state about it, and at the time the state said to me, the project's not moving. So if we use some of these funds to help take the buildings down, it could help the project move. People will see that there's action, and it's okay to do. The city has to have a contract in place with the Simon Group that says once it's ready to go forward and there's a shovel in the ground, that money's paid back. This wasn't a gift, right? It was to help move the project along, or if the project sells, that money comes back to us. So we know that, the prior administration continued to say that the Haven was coming. We all suspected the Haven wasn't coming. So Representative Ferraro and I pulled together a meeting in May of 2022 with the Simon Group and the state leaders, and the administration, and the state delegation, because I knew if we told the Simon Group, who was kind of like went dark on us, right? They were ghosting us. If we said the state was coming to the table, then they would come to the table, because I knew they were going to ask for more money, which they did. So we have this meeting in May. They come to the table. They ask for more money. We say, we're not giving you any more money. What is plan B? They said there's no plan B. And that is when they finally said, we're not coming, which was great to finally get them to say that, because then we could start to work on the exit plan. And that's what started happening, right? It started going to the market. When they said they weren't going forward, I had called the city attorney at the time and I said, okay, where's our contract? Because we need that money back. There was no contract executed between the city and the Simon Group. So that was obviously very, very disappointing. And so now the former corporation counsel said, well, we're going to lien the property. We're going to lien the Haven property. I said, you can't lien the property. You got nothing to lien it on. You got nothing to hang your hat on. But the city liens the property. So the Simon Group in turn sued the city because they said, you're applying an inappropriate tax on us. So it was all in court. So I had to work with the attorneys and I had to work with the judge to release us from this lawsuit. We had no leg to stand on to get that money back, so that money is gone, and their lawsuit would go away. So that's the bad news. There was two big hurdles that we have been diligently working through. The good news is, on a parallel track, I've been meeting with a lot of developers. I probably met with about 12 to 15 developers in the past 4 months once we started working through that. And we've been weeding those developers out as I've met with them. So if a developer comes to me with a concept that might be interesting, I have to hand them off to the Simon Group to see if they really have the financial, stability and capacity behind them. Because anybody could come with a great idea, right? But we're not gonna spend our time unless they really have the capacity. You want to look for financials, capacity, a plan, and the ability to execute on that plan. So I send them to the Simon Group. If the Simon Group gets an interested party that has the money, then they send them to me to talk about the concept. So we kind of like pinch hit, back and forth with each other. And we've weeded out a number of developers because I like to call them like pretenders and contenders, right? So there's people who are legitimate and people who would like to do something. I would say out of all of those developers, some just, weren't a really great fit. We're down to 2 serious developers. Serious where I think they have the financing. I think they have a decent concept. But, we need more information before we would, work with them. So that's where we're at. I think we resolved major issues. And, I hope in the near future we see something. The Simon Group is not interested in parceling out that land. They want to sell all the acres together because then they're going to be stuck with some acres. Everybody who's come forward has been mixed use.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who's come forward has been mixed use.
All right, well, that's good news. Thank you. I didn't know it was that in depth. So the Simon Group is still involved, and then once you or we get somebody in, the Simon Group will sell to the developer.
Mm-hmm. And there'll be a due diligence and contingency period. All of the developers need a certain period of time.
Yeah.
They need to check that environmental, right? They need to check they have to look at all of our zoning, et cetera. Right. So they'll put an offer in. Actually, I know that there's 3 offers in. So they'll put the offers in, but then they have a period of time for a look back, right? To see, they have to do their due diligence before it closes.
Does the Simon Group have the last say of who gets the, not the bid, but who's going to get the,
well, they're
developer?
the seller, but we actually have an opportunity to weigh in, which is a little unusual.
Zoning, right, you can't just have anything.
So, but they're the seller, right? But they're not. They're they could have sold any time in this last 6 months to some major developers, but to their credit, they're working with us now, and they call me up and they say, "What do you think about this developer?" And I say, "That's not going to fly." The guy from Miami who wants to put 2,500 units, that's not going to fly. So no,
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Councilwoman Coletti.
Thank you. And I'm not sure what the nature is of a private deal, but sometimes there's a contingent on site plan approval. So both parties are aligned in actually having it be approved. So once there's official site plan approval that comes from planning and zoning in the city, then the project can move forward. And then it's up to, private capital to finish the remainder of the project cost. But that's a good fail-safe, right, in terms of what's approved.
And I know I gave long explanations about the complications, but it is what it is.
Thank you for taking care of it.
One last question, Mayor. I just wanted to find out, is there any information on Sanford Street and the study?
The study was approved by the MARB, and it was SLR and CDM Smith. Yep, that was one of the contracts that we had to get through the MARB. This is just for the design.
Correct.
This is just
Right.
for the design. So it's usually about a 4-month period for the design. Then we have to go out to bid for the work. So hopefully, CDM Smith is pretty good. Oh, I built in timelines into these contracts now.
Okay, good.
So we're not signing any contracts unless there's a timeline that we could
Gotcha.
hold them to. Because in the past, it's been very open-ended.
Got you. Thank you.
And thank you, Madam Mayor, for the transparency and volunteering the information, which you did not have to. We really do appreciate it, and it's, let's face it, something we're not used to, so we do appreciate it here on the council. Any other new business? Okay, seeing none. I will entertain a motion to
Motion.
adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
How could you possibly oppose? No? Okay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Good night, everybody.